It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 64 of the Redirect Podcast. It is Friday, December 14th, 2018. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing, joined this week by Ashley and Patrick from the Black Truck team. Hey, gang.
Hello.
This is good, Pat. You're stepping your game up.
Yeah,
I can appreciate it, yes. Thanks. We have jokingly talked about the year in review being a bunch of Pat-isms. Although, if you make another prediction in the beginning of 2019...
We'll talk about it for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Guys, don't call me out of my own game. My game is successful, and I'm going to maintain that success level.
Long live voice search. Well, here we are. Wait, this is actually the second podcast we've recorded this week. We played some catch up,
right?
So we're stacking them in there for the holidays, and so here we are. We're how many days away from Christmas?
It's the 14th.
11? So 11 days.
11 days.
Christmas Day. If you haven't gotten your online orders in by most people, I think you have until like Wednesday of next week for regular ground shipping. So get on it. Well, another week. What are you guys prepared to talk about?
I'm gonna jump in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys, I was right.
Oh, we are talking
Yeah,
about
voice
it.
search? Wow, you're bringing it full circle,
no,
Patrick. Thank you.
It's okay. December 14th. We've gone through the entire marketing pushes that we're going to see from the holiday shopping season. At this point, with 11 days left to go, we're not going to see anything new dropped on us.
Right.
At the beginning of the year, I made that bold prediction that you just referenced a minute ago about voice search. I predicted that we're not going to be talking about it, and it's going to be dead. And all the noise that we heard during the shopping season 1 year ago was based on marketing from the big box companies selling their own devices. They were only selling the device and not the function of it.
Like you're talking like Amazon Alexa, Google Home.
Yeah. And they pushed all that marketing to get the device in the home. Everybody got it in their home, and then no one knew how to use it. And they didn't know what to market next.
So where are we at now?
It's dead.
In the holiday season, is there any news that's come out on people that are, again, I always go back to commerce. How many people are engaged in commerce on...
The conversation has shifted, and we're talking more on AI and less home assistance and things like that. So I guess this
is search in general we're talking about.
This,
okay, cool.
This can come right to my topic. Search Engine Land put out article, New Ways to Approach SEO in 2019. And they are pushing accountability and customer experiences. And that goes kind of with our mantra and bread and butter here at our day job, Black Truck. Keep it transparent and keep it human. That's kind of the thing we've always pushed here, and that just goes hand in hand with accountability and customer experiences. And you want to make it as smooth and easygoing for everybody.
Right.
I think part of the, going back to the AI, the artificial intelligence side of it, is us as marketers. AI is granting us the ability to get further up the funnel to see where people are starting their search. A couple months ago, through some of the classes I took through the Google Partners program, looking at the conversion points, where are they coming from? Where in the funnel are they coming from? Coming as a first click or a last click or some sort of blend? Well, the first click model allows us to see where people are starting their searches, giving us keywords and keyword phrases that are less brand or product specific and more problem solving specific, more of like the broad search, in getting more conversion data and more value out of those more broad keywords that are less refined. And that's the big thing with AI on the marketing side for us, is we can see further up the funnel and less brand specific or product X.
Are you saying we might be seeing a more truer picture that way?
Yeah, we're able to see the more truer picture and start with those more broader experiences from people, so we can grab a bigger pool of people, but a more refined pool, and then bring them in down the funnel along the way. A couple of neat stats I saw through here that are worth throwing in here. Goodness, where did that go?
Now you gotta find them.
Yeah, I gotta find it.
It's probably because I hit your keyboard.
Yeah, you did. You threw off my mojo here a few minutes ago. This was neat. Okay, so the number one organic search result in Google gets 28% of the clicks. The number 2 gets 13% of clicks, and number 3 gets 9% of clicks.
And you said organic, right?
That was organic, yeah. So you think about how that goes down the line. So what's 28 plus 13 plus 9? That's roughly 40%. Okay, so 40% of clicks are coming from those first 3 positions.
Yep.
So that still leaves a lot out there. That includes all the other stuff that's happening on page 1 now.
Yeah. Is that additional answers from people also asked type stuff?
Yeah.
And what's included in there?
Tips from Search Performance 2019. Master your understanding of audiences and personas. I think that's kind of always something that you want to work on.
Totally.
Understand your customer in minute detail. I think that can go with going further up the funnel. Use artificial intelligence and machine learning to mine data, improve efficiency, and scale. Measure beyond the click. I thought that's one we've talked about here quite a bit, and we've talked about doing series on things like that before. But measure beyond the click, and that's beyond just what happens after they click on your ad or your organic listing. What are they doing from there? You need to be able to take measurement A and measurement B, put them together, and get a better picture out of it.
Especially if you're doing, whether it's any kind of lead generation, any kind of sales, e-commerce especially. E-commerce especially if you have money invested into it. Yeah, if you're not taking a look at the time to purchase, the time to close that deal, because it's really fascinating. If you have the fortune of working with someone that has a good data set, right? That's the other thing too, is looking at that data is difficult and understanding it when it's on a really small scale. When you have data that's much larger and you can see it over a good period of time, it's easier to spot. Okay, yes, we get the majority of our sales off first-time visitors, but that could be 40% of the time.
Right.
The other 80% is multiple days after. We've seen it too, where it's like, okay, whoa, look at this window of people that are 20 plus days after after first visit that are converting.
And could be
it's huge.
Also too, it depends on your attribution model. You could be getting the wrong data. Those first visitors based on a last click model might not be first visitors.
Right.
The way this article finishes up is celebrate your successes. Don't be afraid to be happy about the things that you did right, and put a chip on your shoulder and brag about what you did right.
You mentioned something about audience understanding your customer, and I got asked this question this morning by a college student actually that I met with, and he brought the question up of what's the percentage of our customers, our clients that know the personas or know who they're targeting. And I'd say, the majority of them do, right? They know their customer fairly well, or they can at least define it. But then I was thinking about some additional conversations I've had over the past few weeks with folks, and it really is, okay, you know who your customer is or who you say it is, but that could be completely different than who you think it is or who it actually is online in your space, especially when it comes down to local search and things like that.
Yeah,
you may say this brewery. I'm looking at beers and stuff around the table, so you're looking at this brewery or this cider company as your competition, but regionally in your area, or when it comes down to just like raw search data and who's coming up in the SERPs, they may not even be on the radar.
Right.
And if that's the case, you almost need to have 2 subsets of your competitors and understanding who your competitors are, which also makes me say you need to have 2 different or multiple subsets or sets of subsets of your audiences. Like, you need to understand that you think that's your audience, but the data's not going to lie. You may want to target 25-year-old recent graduates when in the end it's 45-year-old moms that are buying your stuff, right? I mean, it's like you can know thy audience, but do you really know your audience based on what your data is telling you?
Yeah, and on that note, I was asked this question when I did a podcast with PRSSA a while back. I was asked specifically about target audiences and how that plays into SEO. And my answer was basically, yes, our clients have their target audiences in mind that, they use for all of their marketing tactics. But when it comes to organic SEO, for us, we're not specifically actually targeting any like demographic specific information. It comes back to the language. We go back to this idea a lot in our conversations that the business might call widget X this, whereas their audience calls it Y,
But the most refined we'll get is their geolocation.
For sure.
Depending on the business and their service areas or product areas, things like that. That's, we're not going to tell you should focus on 24 to 50-year-old females that have a bachelor's degree.
Right.
That's not how we're playing the game.
And that's still loose data. That's not super. I will argue that's while it might be a little bit more refined in, say, like Facebook, because we are, as users, giving them that information. Things have gotten better in Google, but data like that is still not as accurate, just because, like, look, if my kid jumps on YouTube on my phone to watch Daniel Tiger videos, the ads are skewed at that point, right?
Yeah.
So you have to watch kind of some of that stuff on the browser side, but
what would they retarget for Daniel Tiger?
No. She'll see ads that are targeted for me. Oh, because I'm the logged in user,
okay,
right? So so as a parent, you really have to watch that. I don't need the latest Netflix, making a murder series coming across there. I'm like, oh no, this is a wholesome thing.
Yeah, my wife and I share an Amazon Prime account. We both have the apps on our phones, and so they're really confused on what to target us for because we're looking for very different things.
yeah, man. All right, cool. I'm gonna have to read that article. I haven't even. I think with 2 podcasts this week and everything we got going on, I didn't get a chance to look at it.
It was published.
Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah. Awesome. Ashley, you or me?
I can jump in. Somewhat related. I want to talk about why local businesses will need websites more than ever in 2019.
Totally.
So that is actually the title of an article published by Miriam Ellis.
Subtitled The Demise of Facebook?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe that
was where going. I like where you're going. So Miriam Ellis is someone that I've enjoyed following. She's got some really great insights on local really SEO. Yeah. So I highly recommend going back and checking some of her.
Her and Joy Hawkins do a good job.
Yes, absolutely. So back in episode 62, I talked about Maz's annual study on local search ranking factors and how the importance of Google My Business is growing. And it's been a common theme in industry discussions and conferences and in our podcast, I'd say for the past year plus, that Google is making it harder and harder for search users to have a reason to click and jump off of search results and onto a website. So Maz's State of Local SEO Industry Report for 2019 states that 64% of surveyed local business marketers agree that Google is becoming the new homepage for local businesses. Okay, so it can be really easy for a local business owner to see that stat and think, well, it looks like I don't need to worry so much about having a website after all. And related to this is the argument that having a Facebook page is enough of an online presence for a local business. And I hope that no one is saying that these days, to your point, Jason.
I think there's still a number of service-based businesses that will hang their hat on that, and also some bars and restaurants too, right? Mm-hmm.
And so in this article that we'll link to over on Moz, Miriam argues to the contrary about not needing a website. So what I wanted to be sure to share is something that's perhaps not new to all of us, but it's important to consider for any digital marketers who want to start hanging their SEO hat solely on having a Google My Business presence, which a lot of people can draw that conclusion based on all the discussions that have been had lately. And that point that I want to make is that businesses that rank high organically are very likely to have high associated local pack rankings. And again, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but that local pack is when a map and 3 local businesses will show up on the Google search results. And that is, a high, I'd say, that's going to draw people's attention when it comes up in a search result page. So, in other words, if your business ranks well organically, you are much more likely to appear in those local pack features that show your Google My Business listing. And your Google My Business listing should have a link to your website in it as well. And that may or may not play a part in how you show up in those local packs.
Similarly, I guess related is when we talk about position 0 in the featured snippet, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously you're not going to get that if you don't have a website. But the point that I'm making is that you're not going to get that position if you don't have a first page rank and you don't have the content that supports it.
Yep.
You can't. If the majority of those that are winning out in the local pack are those that have websites and their sites that are ranked on the first page, that's a similar play.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So even. Yeah, I guess I'm not going to go that route. But, especially in a very competitive industry, if you don't have a website, it's very likely that your business may not appear on page 1 of search results, even if you have a Google My Business listing that is packed to the nines with all of your business information.
What if you're a successful business without a brick and mortar? You're a successful local business, but you don't have brick and mortar. You do a lot of local online
If you're
stuff.
a service, you can do it with a service area listing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the case where you would have a service area listing, and you still have a business address.
You'd still
you still have to put a business address in there. Now, if it was say a home-based business, you're a landscaper. You just run a two-man operation, and your office is your house. And you're like, I really don't want to have my home address as that. Well, you can go to the service area business and say, this is my address, but it's not necessarily shown, and these are the areas that I serve. And usually the discussion point in local that we've had is, for some businesses, do we do that versus having a brick and mortar? There's enough data out there, at least that we've read and studied, that says the closer you are to city center and to where that searcher is, as a physical location is actually better. So let's say you are a landscape company that has an office in 3 different cities that, let's say they're 20 miles apart from one another or 30 miles apart from one another. You don't really do anything there other than that's a drop point for your crew to kind of show up and where the trucks are. You actually might probably have more success by having those businesses listed there. One here in Grand Rapids, one in Muskegon, one in Kalamazoo, let's say, versus I have a service area of all of these encompassing areas. You're probably not going to be as competitive.
Because then you have to compete against
starts to dilute
everything in that area.
It starts to dilute it. Much like an AdWords budget of, here's $100 a day, but it's $40 a click.
Yeah.
Not getting very far.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, so the only other thing I wanted to say is that in addition to all that, since we're forever at the mercy of whatever Google or the search engines design for their products, maintaining a solid website that is your own property and a controllable means of communicating directly to your audience can be very important, as well as creating optimized long-tail content that can help your site rank for more refined searches that might still display those 10 blue links for the foreseeable future. So, but yeah, you need to have that content. You have to have a website.
We saw on the political front, Google was interviewed in the Senate panel.
Yeah.
And he stated again, the CEO of Google, that 15% of daily searches are searches that Google has never seen. So that's a pretty big chunk of searches that still will have all brand new results in a SERP that's never happened before.
Yep.
They see a lot of, I think, was it 16%?
15%.
15%? Okay. Brand new. They've never seen it anymore. So crazy. That'll continue. Good stuff. So what I'm gonna flip things completely around. It's some of it's SEO related, some of it's not. It was more I mean, we've seen it we've known about it. It's coming down the pipe. Nobody's really done anything about it. And I was reminded about it from our friend Rebecca at Red66 Marketing, a local marketing firm here in town that we get to do some work with, is that WordPress 5.0 is here, which also brings about the famed Gutenberg, what do I want to call it? Content editor. So what's fascinating about this is that the question that Rebecca poses is, okay, WordPress 5.0 is available. Should you upgrade? Should you not? Typically in WordPress fashions, WordPress is powering something like 25% of the world's websites. It might even be more than that now. So it's like the Microsoft Office suite of the content management world, which also makes it more susceptible to hacks and backdoor entrance points, which is always like, oh, new version of WordPress, better update, security patches, yada, yada, yada. Problem is, depending on what you have going on, that can break your site, that can break things what you have going on. So 5.0 is a major release, and the reason that it's a major release is because of Gutenberg. And it's for those of you who know of Gutenberg, have read or developed any content around it, it is completely different than any other content interface that they've had before. I would say similar to, for those of you that are using various plugins, you're familiar with like the Divi theme add-on or Elementor or something like that. There's more WYSIWYG type content editors. Gutenberg is just more seamless and it's not slow, I'll tell you that, like some of the other ones. The problem is Gutenberg, as I understand it, was merged into the core prematurely.
Oh.
And based on how buggy it still is, the question is, do I want to update or not?
Nope.
So, I think that is a question and a conversation you need to have with your developers. So, Rebecca was kindly in her email to link to an article from Yoast on what is Gutenberg, and there's a great, I'm not even going to regurgitate all this is great. Edwin Tunin at Yoast developed this great post. Of course, we've had the privilege of hearing and talking to Jono Alderson at a couple different conferences, search marketing conferences this year, about Gutenberg and what the team, Jono works for Yoast, and so what Yoast has been doing and investing in Gutenberg early on. So really what Gutenberg is it's a new block-based editing environment. And what Edwin is saying here is that it will be, the impact it's going to have is massive. Some people are going to welcome it with open arms. Other people are going to go, oh my God, what the hell is this? To his point, there's a large group of WordPress users who don't have a clue what's going on. So I think this will be a great article to share, and we certainly will probably be sharing it out over the next few weeks here. We've seen it. A couple other local developers that we work with as well have had very early access to it and have been playing with it to kind of prepare themselves. But this got pushed on December 6th, so last week. And FYI, yes, Yoast works within Gutenberg, but it's going to have a different look and feel to it when you're in there. Everything is a block. So our content previously used to live inside of giant HTML files, and now you're basically building your content like you would make a Lego set. So all from one box, following a standardized, straightforward set of instructions, taking that verbatim from them. So in that block, you can determine what every part of the content is. Paragraphs, lists, quotes, headings, code, everything. So everything can live in this block. The cool thing is that blocks are then reusable. So what this does, what this says to me is, in a lot of custom one-off WordPress themes, we're not going to call them templates, is that you would then have to have a template. So themes, the overarching look and feel of the site. It's the paint on the car, if you will. and the look of it. The template might be a specific functionality of, say, this is what the blog post environment is going to look like. This is what the custom post type is going to look like for your events or for your deals or your news type categories, if you will. So this will allow you to basically build reusable blocks kind of ongoing basis. So if you develop a piece of content, it's maybe you test it, it's very well received in how people go through it, it's multi-columned or broken up with accordion tabs or whatever, you could then say, okay, any type of content like this team moving forward follows block A, or this follows block B. So I think once you get that into your mindset, it'll be, I think it'll be much easier. What they point out here too is that developers can hook into this as well. So there's probably going to be like add-on blocks that you can get. So like expansion packs, like I'm thinking about my kids are big into magnetiles, the magnetic shapes, and you can buy expansion packs, or much like Cards Against Humanity, we can buy the 2016 presidential election expansion pack. So big details. What do you need to know about Yoast SEO and Gutenberg? They've invested deeply into this for a long time, and Yoast has a lot of really great information here documented. They have when they introduced Yoast 8.0 and improved 8.1 is when they built their first Gutenberg content blocks on how-tos and adding and FAQ structures and things like that. So, but all of the regular things that most content developers in WordPress are used to, the snippet preview, readability, focus keyword, is it cornerstone content, internal linking suggestions, insights. That's all there. Caveat, that doing those things doesn't mean that your post is optimized, but it's a nice guide. So there's some really great things to come with Gutenberg. I think, like we've discussed before, with when the new Google Ads platform was forced on people, people either embraced it or they didn't. I think certainly us having the privilege of very early access to it, well over a year ago, we were just kind of like, yeah, why not? And we might as well just, what are you going to do? You're going to throw your hands up in the air and argue over it, or are you going to accept the fact that that's going to be the new normal, and you might as well start down that path?
Didn't prevent us from throwing our hands up in the air.
No, it didn't. No, not at all.
We just did it a year before everyone else.
Correct. So change gonna come. Certainly get with your developer and see if that's going to impact your site at all. I bet that there are going to be a number of sites that hold off.
Any word on sunsetting?
Yeah, when are people
WordPress?
going to be forced?
That I
into
haven't.
this?
I have not read into that at all.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, now it's open source, so sunsetted and forced are two different things, right? In that world, so forced, probably not. You want to run WordPress 3.7, do that on your own time. Good luck, right? Sunsetted, I think, is a better term. I imagine they're going to have to support something as large as this for a little while now.
Right.
I don't know if that's 9 months or 10 months or 12 months. That's not a question I can answer for sure. But so be thinking about that as you are looking. Hey, if you're going to build a new site with WordPress, you might as well go for all the bells and whistles now and get used to it. I think if set, like any CMS, if set up properly, and your front end's feeling and looking good, it's literally just back end management. And if you can navigate the back end and it makes it easier and it's more defined, then good, make it happen. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think it's gonna. I have not heard as to whether or not it will create any kind of like code bloat or anything like that. So, but like any WordPress site, not any two are equal,
right?
Because you can have crap developers creating crap themes that are extremely bloated, and then you can have a custom one-off that's stripped right down and performs really well. So, that's what I know.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll make sure we share this and more in the show notes. And hat tip to, again, Rebecca for bringing that to our attention too. So cool.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, gang. Until next time, good luck.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.